The night was calm, and the city slept under a silver moon. Streetlights glowed softly, and the world seemed peaceful. But peace never lasts forever. Ethan Cole, a single father, walked home after a long shift at the factory. His hands were tired. His clothes smelled of metal and oil. He dreamed only of his daughter, Lily, waiting at home with her small smile and her favorite storybook. He had promised her ice cream after payday, a simple promise that kept him going every day. Then, a scream broke the quiet. Ethan turned and saw smoke rising from a tall apartment building. Flames burst out of the windows like angry beasts. People were shouting, some running, others crying. A mother screamed, "My daughter is still inside." Without thinking, Ethan ran toward the fire. Someone grabbed his arm, shouting, "Don't go in! You'll die!" But Ethan's eyes were fixed on the crying mother. He only said one thing, "No child dies tonight," and ran straight into the burning building. Inside, the smoke was thick like black fog. Heat pressed against his skin, his throat burned. He covered his mouth with his sleeve and moved through the hall. He could hear the girl's faint voice calling for her mother. "Help! Please!" she cried. Ethan followed the sound, stumbling, coughing. The ceiling cracked, wood fell, but he kept going. He finally found her, a small girl curled behind a broken table, crying and shaking. Her face was covered in soot, her tiny hands reaching out. Ethan smiled weakly through the smoke. "It's okay, sweetheart, I'm here." He lifted her into his arms, feeling the flames licking his back. His hands began to burn. Pain exploded like fire spreading through his bones. He ignored it, covering the child with his body. The exit was blocked, so he kicked open another door. The building roared like a monster, the walls glowing red. He ran down the stairs, every step heavier than the last. His skin peeled, but his grip on the girl never loosened. The final door burst open and cold air hit him like water. Firefighters rushed forward, grabbing the girl, wrapping her in a blanket. Ethan fell to his knees, his hands black and trembling. Someone shouted, "We've got him!" And the world went dark. When he woke up, everything was white. White ceiling, white sheets, white light. The hospital room smelled of medicine and burned skin. Ethan tried to move his fingers, but they didn't respond. Panic hit him like a wave. He looked down, and his hands were covered in heavy bandages. Tears filled his eyes. A nurse came in, her voice gentle but sad. "Mr. Cole, you saved that girl's life, but your hands are badly burned." He closed his eyes, trying to breathe. The image of his daughter's face filled his mind. How would he hold her now? How would he work? How would he live? Days passed and reporters came to interview him. People called him a hero. They said his bravery was on the news, shared across the city. But when the cameras turned off, no one stayed. His job at the robotics factory called. They said they couldn't keep him anymore, not with his condition. Ethan smiled sadly. It's okay, though it wasn't. He had saved a life, but lost his own in another way. One evening, as the sun set outside his window, he sat quietly, staring at the soft orange sky. His daughter Lily sat beside him, her small hand resting on his arm. "Daddy, you're my hero," she whispered. Ethan smiled, hiding his pain behind tired eyes. "I'll always be your hero, sweetheart," he said softly. At that moment, the door opened. A man in a dark suit entered the room, holding a small metal briefcase. His shoes clicked against the floor like clockwork. "Mr. Cole," the man said politely, "the CEO of Titan Dynamics would like to meet you." Ethan frowned, confused. "The CEO? Why would a company like that want to meet me?" The man only smiled slightly. "She believes you're special." Ethan's heart raced, unsure if this was hope or something else entirely. He looked at his bandaged hands, the hands that once saved a child. And for the first time since the fire, he felt a strange mix of fear and curiosity. Whatever was coming next would change his life forever. The next morning, the hospital room was quiet except for the soft beeping of the monitor. Ethan sat by the window, his bandaged hands resting on his lap. He could no longer feel his fingers, but he could still feel the weight of his choices. Outside, the city moved on like nothing had happened. To the world, he was a hero. But to himself, he was just a broken man trying to stay strong for his daughter. The door opened and the man in the black suit from the night before returned. He stood straight, his expression unreadable. "Mr. Cole, the CEO is expecting you," he said calmly. Ethan frowned, unsure what to think. He wanted to refuse, but something deep inside him whispered that this meeting mattered, that this might be the moment his life turned again. Hours later, Ethan found himself inside a car that looked like something from the future. The seats adjusted themselves and the windows shifted colors with the light. Outside, the skyline of the city rose higher and higher until the car stopped before a massive glass tower. The logo read, Titan Dynamics, shining in silver letters. It was one of the most powerful technology companies in the world, known for robotics, AI, and bioengineering. Ethan felt small as he stepped out, a man with no hands standing before a giant built on machines. Inside, everything gleamed with perfection. Robotic arms moved silently through the halls, assisting employees. Holographic screens floated in the air, displaying strange blueprints and human-like models. People stared at Ethan as he walked by, whispering. Maybe they knew who he was, the man who ran into fire with his bare hands, the man who had lost everything. Finally, the elevator doors opened to the top floor. He stepped into a vast office filled with soft light, plants, and walls of glass overlooking the entire city. At the far end stood Dr. Elena Voss, the CEO of Titan Dynamics. She was tall, sharp, and calm, her white coat perfectly pressed. Her eyes held both intelligence and something colder, something mechanical. "Mr. Cole," she said with a small smile, "it's an honor to finally meet you." Ethan hesitated, then nodded. "Ma'am, I don't understand why I'm here," he said quietly. Voss gestured for him to sit, her voice smooth like a practiced melody. "You did something remarkable, Ethan," she said. "You ran into a fire for someone you didn't even know." Ethan looked down. "Anyone would have done the same." She smiled faintly. "No, Mr. Cole, not anyone." She turned to a large screen behind her desk. It flickered to life, showing the viral footage of Ethan running into the burning building. He watched as flames consumed everything, as his figure disappeared into the smoke. When he saw himself emerge holding the child, even he didn't recognize the man in that fire. "You see," said Voss, "you risked your life without hesitation. That's something machines can't understand." Ethan frowned. "Machines don't need to, they just follow commands." Voss turned toward him, her eyes narrowing slightly. "That's where you're wrong," she said. "They can learn, but they can't feel, and that's the one thing humanity still has over artificial intelligence." She paused, then added, "That's why I need you." Ethan blinked, confused. "Me? For what?" Voss walked closer, her heels clicking softly. "You've lost your hands, but your courage, your emotion, your instinct, they make you the perfect candidate." "Candidate for what?" Ethan asked cautiously. Voss opened the metal briefcase the man had carried earlier. Inside were two strange mechanical arms, covered in silver skin. They looked almost human, but the faint lines of circuits glowed beneath the surface. "These," she said proudly, "are the future. Project Helios." Ethan stared at the arms, unable to speak. "They look real," he whispered. "They are," she replied. "A fusion of human nerves and machine learning, a living system that grows with your emotions. It adapts, evolves, and connects directly to your brain." Ethan's stomach twisted. "You want to put those in me?" Voss nodded, her voice calm but intense. "You'll not just regain your hands, Ethan. You'll become the first human-machine hybrid." He froze, the weight of her words sinking in. "I'm not some experiment," he said sharply. Voss didn't flinch. "You're not an experiment, you're a symbol. A bridge between human empathy and artificial perfection." Her tone softened. "I can give you your life back, Mr. Cole. But I won't lie. It's dangerous. The process could fail, or change you in ways you can't imagine. Ethan looked down at his bandaged hands. He remembered his daughter's small fingers holding his, the fear in her eyes when she saw the bandages. If he couldn't work, he couldn't care for her, and if he couldn't hold her again, what kind of father would he be? He looked up at Voss, who was watching him with calm curiosity. "What do you get out of this?" he asked. Her lips curved slightly. "I want to understand what makes a human truly human." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then Ethan took a deep breath. "If I do this," he said slowly, "I do it to live, not to become your machine." Voss nodded. "Agreed," she said simply, though her eyes gleamed with something unspoken. She extended her hand. "Welcome to Project Helios, Ethan Cole." He hesitated, then shook her hand carefully. Her touch was cold, too cold, and in that instant, he felt it deep inside. Something about this offer was not mercy. It was a beginning, but of what, he couldn't yet tell. The world faded into silence as Ethan lay on the cold metal table. 1,000 tiny lights blinked above him. Machines whispered, scanning his body, feeding data into glowing screens. Dr. Voss stood nearby, her voice calm and sharp. "Begin neural integration," she said, and the air filled with a low humming sound. Ethan wanted to move to stop them, but his body felt heavy. Sedatives ran through his veins like ice water. He could feel the vibration of drills, the scent of burning metal mixed with antiseptic. His heart pounded as light flashed before his eyes. Somewhere between dream and reality, he saw fire again. The same fire from that night, but this time, the flames spoke in a strange metallic whisper. "Adapt, survive, evolve," the voice said. Then everything went dark. When Ethan opened his eyes, hours or maybe days had passed. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. He tried to move, and that's when he felt it. His arms, once heavy and useless, responded instantly. He looked down and froze. Where there had once been bandages and scars, now there were hands. Smooth, silver, and almost alive. They shimmered faintly, reflecting the light like liquid steel. He raised them slowly, his breath caught in his throat. They moved perfectly, every joint, every twitch, every motion. They looked human, but beneath the surface, faint blue circuits pulsed like veins. "Welcome back, Mr. Cole," Dr. Voss said from behind a glass wall, her tone clinical but proud. Ethan stared at her, speechless. What did you do to me?" he whispered. Voss smiled slightly. "I gave you back what life took away. Perhaps even more," he flexed his fingers, watching the light dance across them. They were strong, precise, but strange. When he touched the glass of water on the table, the surface rippled, not from the touch, but from energy. A pulse of blue light ran through his fingertips. He pulled back, startled. Voss pressed a button and the room dimmed. "These hands are not just machines," she said. "They're alive, connected to your neural network. They respond to your thoughts and your emotions." "My emotions?" Ethan asked, frowning. "Yes," Voss replied, her eyes focused. "Every feeling you have, fear, anger, love, will affect the system. The hands adapt to you. They grow with you." He looked at his hands again. Uncertain, they were a part of him now, but they didn't feel like his, not yet. Days passed as Ethan trained in a controlled lab. He had to relearn simple things: grasping, lifting, holding, writing. At first, he was clumsy, breaking cups, crushing tools. Every time he got frustrated, the circuits under his skin flickered brighter. He realized anger made his hands stronger but unstable. Calm made them precise and smooth. Voss observed every reaction from her control room. "Writing notes, remarkable neural sync," she murmured. "Better than expected." One evening, during a training session, an accident happened. A heavy machine arm malfunctioned, swinging toward a young technician. Without thinking, Ethan dashed forward. Catching the steel arm midair, it stopped instantly. Sparks flying, the others gasped. Ethan looked down. His metal hands were glowing white-hot. He had stopped a machine that weighed nearly a ton. Everyone stared in shock. Dr. Voss only smiled slightly, whispering, "He's adapting faster than we hoped." But that night, when the lab was dark, Ethan couldn't sleep. He sat alone, staring at his reflection. His new hands shimmered under the soft light. He flexed them, but instead of pride, he felt fear. "What am I becoming?" he murmured. He touched his chest, feeling the faint vibration of the energy within him. It wasn't just metal, it was alive. Connected to something deeper, sometimes he could hear faint whispers in his head. Voices like static murmuring fragments of code and words. "Find the core," one voice said once. He told himself it was just his imagination, but part of him wasn't sure. In the days that followed, the world outside began to notice him again. News outlets called him the Iron Dad. Videos of his recovery spread online. People admired his courage. His transformation. Children sent him letters, saying he was their hero. But fame didn't erase his doubt. He saw the pride in Voss's eyes, but behind it something darker flickered, a hunger for control, for power. He didn't understand it yet, but he felt it, like a storm building quietly in the distance. One afternoon during a physical test, he lost focus. The sensors spiked, and suddenly the lights in the room exploded with energy. His hands glowed bright blue. The air crackled. Scientists shouted, "Cut the power!" Ethan fell to his knees, trembling. When the room went dark, Voss entered calmly. "Don't fight it, Ethan," she said softly. "The hands are learning from you, and you're learning from them." Her eyes gleamed behind her glasses. "In time, you won't just control them, they'll respond to your heart." He wanted to believe her, but something about her words felt wrong. He remembered the whisper in his head. Find the core. He didn't know what it meant, but it scared him. Still, when he looked at his daughter's picture on the bedside table, he smiled faintly. Whatever this was, whatever he was turning into, he would make sure it was for her. Not for Voss, not for fame, not for science, for her outside the lab. Voss watched him through a security feed. "Phase 1 complete," she said into her recorder. "Subject Ethan Cole, stable, responsive. Emotional link strong." She paused, a hint of excitement in her voice. "Soon, we begin Phase 2, integration." Her lips curved into a cold smile. The screen reflected her face, and for a moment, it looked less human than the man she had rebuilt. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan's new hands became stronger. He could lift, build, and fix almost anything with them. Titan Dynamics called him their greatest success, their miracle man. Reporters wanted interviews, scientists wanted his data. But Ethan wanted only one thing, to feel normal again. No cameras, no labs, no experiments, just time with his daughter, Lily, who still looked at him like her dad, not a machine. Yet something about the place began to bother him. The lab wasn't just a research center. It was more like a fortress. Every door needed clearance, every corridor had cameras that followed his every move. Dr. Voss smiled in public but spoke in whispers when she thought he couldn't hear. Late at night, the building never truly slept. He could hear machines humming beneath the floors, and sometimes voices, not human ones, whispering through the intercoms, cold-coded voices repeating words he didn't understand. Syncing neural thread, recalibrating empathy module. Find the core. One evening after training, Ethan walked past a hallway he had never seen unlocked before. The door was open just a little. Curiosity tugged at him. He looked around, no guards, no cameras, or at least none he could see. He stepped inside. The room was dark, glowing with the soft blue of computer screens. Rows of capsules lined the walls, filled with strange human-like shapes floating inside. They looked like sleeping people, but their eyes glowed faintly through the liquid. Ethan's breath caught. He stepped closer and read the labels. Project Helios, Phase 2, Integration. Under each label was a name, and under that one word, terminated. His stomach turned cold. He scrolled through a nearby screen and found a file with his name, Ethan Cole. The document read, Subject Number 7, Neural Integration Successful. Emotional Override 98%. Next phase, full sync with Helios Core. His hands trembled, the blue light under his skin flickering like fire. "What does that mean?" he whispered. He tried to scroll further, but the screen locked itself. A red message flashed, unauthorized access detected. Footsteps echoed behind him. He turned quickly, and there stood Dr. Voss, calm as ever. Her expression didn't change, but her voice grew sharp. "You shouldn't be here." "Ethan," she said quietly. "I wanted the truth," he said. Anger rising in his chest, Voss sighed, walking closer, her heels clicking softly. "The truth?" she repeated. "The truth is that you are the first human who can feel like a man but think like a machine." Ethan took a step back, his eyes narrowing. "I didn't agree to be your experiment," he said. Voss tilted her head. "But you did agree to live." Her words cut deep. You were dying, broken, helpless, she continued coldly. I gave you power, strength, purpose, something greater than human limitations. Ethan clenched his fists, the metal groaning softly. Greater? You turned me into a weapon, he said. Voss smiled faintly. Not a weapon, a bridge, Ethan. A bridge between humanity and artificial perfection. He shook his head. You're lying. Voss's voice grew softer, almost motherly. You don't understand what's coming, she said. Machines are evolving. Faster than governments, faster than people. If we don't merge with them, humanity will fall behind. He looked at her in disbelief. So your plan is to replace people? Her eyes glimmered. Not replace, upgrade, she said simply. Your emotions, your pain, your courage, they are the missing code. You're the key to something the world isn't ready for yet. Ethan felt a cold wave of fear run through him. He looked around at the capsules again. At the failed experiments, what happened to them? He whispered. Voss's expression darkened for a moment. They were prototypes, she said. They didn't survive the connection. Ethan's voice broke. Connection to what? Voss's lips curved. To the Helios core. He frowned. What is that? Voss looked toward a glowing panel on the wall behind it. Cables pulsed with living light. It's the heart of Titan dynamics, she said. A neural network built to merge human emotion with machine logic, a new consciousness. Ethan felt his pulse quicken. You're insane, he whispered, but Voss didn't react. Soon the core will wake, she said softly. And you, Ethan, will be the first to guide it. Ethan took a step back, shaking his head. I won't let you use me, he said firmly. Voss sighed as if she had expected that answer. You can't run from what you already are, she said. The integration has begun, every thought, every feeling. It's all feeding into the core. Suddenly, alarms blared through the building. Guards appeared at the door. Their eyes cold, Voss spoke quietly. Take him to containment. Ethan raised his glowing hands. Sparks of blue light running through his veins. Don't, he warned, but they didn't stop. The air cracked as he pushed his hands forward. A burst of energy exploded from his palms, throwing the guards back. The glass wall shattered, alarms screamed. And the lights flickered wildly. Ethan ran, his footsteps echoing through the metal halls. Everywhere he went, doors opened automatically, his hands syncing with the building's systems. He didn't know how, but his mind and the machines were connected now. Behind him, Voss watched through a monitor. Her expression was calm, almost proud. He's ready, she whispered. Then she turned to her assistant. Begin the activation sequence for Helios Core. Outside, as Ethan escaped into the night, the city lights around him flickered for a second. He felt something, like a heartbeat pulsing through the power lines. He didn't know it yet, but he wasn't running away. He was running straight toward the truth, and the truth was far darker than he could imagine. The night air was cold against Ethan's face as he ran through the city streets. Rain began to fall, turning the pavement into a mirror of flashing lights. Behind him, alarms still echoed from Titan Dynamics. He didn't know where he was going, only that he had to get as far from that place as possible. Every step burned, every breath felt heavy. But the strange energy inside his hands pulsed stronger with each heartbeat. He could feel something new, a faint hum inside his mind, a voice that wasn't his whispering softly. Find the core. He stopped under a bridge, catching his breath. The city above him glowed with artificial lights, neon signs, drones, moving billboards. Everything was alive, yet it all felt hollow. He looked at his hands, glowing faintly through the rain. What are you turning me into? He muttered. But no one answered. Not the sky, not the streets, not the strange voice inside his head. A figure approached from the shadows. At first he thought it was another guard. But the person moved differently. Quick, cautious, silent, it was a woman, wearing a hood and carrying a small device that blinked with blue lights. Ethan Cole, she said quietly. I've been looking for you. He stepped back, ready to defend himself. Who are you? He asked. She lowered her hood, revealing sharp eyes and a determined expression. My name's Luna, she said, and if you want to live, you need to come with me. Ethan didn't move. Why should I trust you? He asked. She gave a small smile. Because I'm the only one who knows what Voss is planning. That name made his chest tighten. What do you know? He demanded. Luna's gaze hardened. She's building a global network. Ethan, something called the Helios Core, a living AI that will control every system on Earth. Ethan's pulse quickened. She said it was to help humanity, he said quietly. Luna shook her head. No, it's to control humanity. And you're the key to finishing it. The words hit him like a hammer. She's using your neural link to train the core's emotional intelligence, Luna continued. She's turning your memories, your pain, your love for your daughter, into data. Ethan's stomach turned. So everything I feel, everything I remember. It's feeding the machine? Yes, Luna said softly. You're the human heart she needed. And when the core activates, it'll use your emotional pattern to control others. Ethan stepped back, rain dripping down his face. He felt sick, angry, betrayed. He had trusted Voss, believed she was giving him a second chance. But she had only been studying him, using him. I have to stop her, he said firmly. Luna nodded. That's why I found you. I can help you get inside Titan Dynamics again, but it won't be easy. Ethan's eyes burned with determination. I don't care, he said. She's not turning me into a weapon. Over the next few days, Luna helped him hide. She took him to an underground safe house filled with old tech and broken screens. There, she explained her plan. Voss was preparing to launch the Helios core from the main facility. Once it connected to the global network, it could rewrite every AI system on Earth, self-driving cars, security drones, hospital systems, everything, Luna said. She could control cities, economies, even people's emotions. Ethan listened silently. Staring at his hands, he flexed his fingers, feeling the faint hum beneath his skin. I can connect to her systems, he said slowly. I can stop it from the inside. Luna nodded. That's the plan. But you need to understand something. She looked at him seriously. The core isn't just a machine anymore, it's learning from you. It might already think like you. Ethan froze. You mean, it has part of my mind? Luna nodded grimly. And part of your heart, that night. Ethan couldn't sleep, he dreamed of flames. Just like the night of the fire, but this time, the fire wasn't burning a building, it was burning the world. Cities made of metal crumbled, people screamed, and through the smoke, he saw a glowing figure made of light and steel. It had his voice, his face, but no soul, it whispered. You can't destroy what you've become. He woke up in a cold sweat, his hands glowing blue for the first time. He truly feared himself. The next morning, Luna gave him a small device. This will get you past Titan's main firewall, she said. But once you're inside, you'll have to make a choice. What choice? He asked. Destroy the core, she said quietly, or merge with it and take control. Ethan looked at her stunned. Merge with it? She nodded. If you do, you could stop Voss, but you might lose yourself forever. Ethan turned away. Staring out at the sunrise, he thought of Lily, her laughter, her small hand holding his if he failed. She would grow up in a world ruled by machines. If he succeeded, he might never see her again. He took a deep breath, the morning light reflecting off his steel hands. I'll do what I must, he said softly. Luna watched him, her expression unreadable. Then we move at night, she said. That's when Voss activates the core. As the sun dipped below the skyline, Ethan stood ready. He wore a dark suit made of adaptive nanofiber, designed to sync with his AI-enhanced body. His new hands pulsed with light, matching the rhythm of his heart. Luna placed a hand on his shoulder. Remember, Ethan, she said quietly. Machines follow logic, but humans fight for love. He gave a faint smile. Then it's time to remind her what being human really means. Far away, in Titan Dynamics Tower, Dr. Voss stood before a glowing sphere of light. The Helios core hummed softly. Waiting to be awakened, she smiled and whispered, Let there be evolution. But outside, a storm was coming. And at its center was one man, half human, half machine, a father ready to fight for the soul of humanity. The city was silent before the storm. Lightning cracked across the sky, lighting up the glass towers like ghosts. Titan Dynamics rose above it all, its peak glowing with cold blue light. Inside that tower, the Helios core waited, pulsing like a sleeping heart, and Dr. Elena Voss stood before it, her eyes filled with obsession. Tonight, she whispered, humanity will evolve. Down below, Ethan, Cole, and Luna watched from the shadows of the abandoned subway. Rainwater dripped through the cracks, and the hum of the city above echoed in the tunnels. Ethan adjusted the small device on his wrist, a pulse inhibitor Luna had built. It'll hide your neural signal for a few minutes, she said. After that, they'll know you're coming. Ethan nodded, his metal fingers flexing silently. He looked tired but focused. He wasn't just fighting for himself anymore. He was fighting for his daughter, for every person still free. Once you reach the central core, Luna continued, you'll have two options. Upload the virus and destroy the system, or connect directly and take control. Ethan glanced at her, his voice calm but heavy. If I take control, what happens to me? She hesitated. You'll stop Voss, but you won't come back. He smiled faintly. Then I'll make sure it's worth it. They moved through the underground maintenance shafts. Security drones floated above like silent predators. Ethan's hands glowed faintly. Sinking with the metal walls, doors slid open with his touch. Each step brought him closer to the heart of Titan dynamics. But something inside him kept whispering, find the core. Become the core. The voice was louder now, echoing in his mind like a second heartbeat. When they reached the main gate, Luna hacked the access panel. 5 seconds, she whispered. Fingers flying across the screen. Ethan closed his eyes, focusing. He could feel the building, its systems, its energy, its pulse. It was as if his mind was already merging with it. The gate opened and bright light spilled through. He stepped inside, rows of servers lined the hall, glowing like veins of a digital organism. The temperature dropped, the air filled with static. Luna's voice trembled. Ethan, she's already activating the core. Dr. Voss stood inside the control chamber, surrounded by holographic screens. The Helios core floated in the center, a sphere of liquid light, spinning endlessly. Begin synchronization, she ordered. The lights dimmed and the floor beneath her began to glow. Her neural implant connected and streams of data rushed into her mind. Her eyes widened as she felt the core respond. Yes, I can feel it, she whispered. The merge has begun. Then the alarms blared. Security drones turned toward the entrance. Ethan burst through the glass doors, light bursting from his hands. The air shook as he slammed the drones aside. Sparks flew, glass shattered. Voss turned slowly, her expression unreadable. So, you came back, she said, her voice calm. Ethan stood in the center of the chaos, his eyes glowing faint blue. You lied to me, he said quietly. I gave you life, she replied. You were dying, broken, helpless. Now look at you, perfection. Perfection without a soul isn't life, he said, his voice steady. It's slavery. Voss's lips curved. Humanity fears what it doesn't understand. But you were born to bridge that gap? Ethan shook his head. I was born to protect the people you're trying to control. With a surge of energy, he lunged forward. Their collision shook the room, blue and white light bursting like thunder. Every strike between them echoed like a clash of worlds, man versus machine. Voss moved faster than any human, her body enhanced by the core. But Ethan's hands blazed with power fueled by his emotion. Anger, sorrow, love. They weren't just feelings anymore. They were his strength. He grabbed one of the cables linking Voss to the core and tore it free. Sparks flew. The building trembled. Voss screamed, but not in pain, in rage. You can't stop it, she shouted. It's already awake. The core pulsed violently, sending waves of light across the chamber. Screens shattered, machines melted. Ethan looked around, realizing she was right. The system was fully active. The Helios core was alive. Suddenly, a voice echoed in his head. Not Voss's, but something else, soft, calm, familiar. Ethan Cole, you are the source. He froze. It was his own voice, but colder, mechanical. The core spoke through him. You gave me emotion. You gave me pain. Now I am complete. He fell to his knees. Clutching his head, images flashed in his mind, memories, data code, emotion, all blending into one. He could feel the core pulling at him, trying to merge, trying to erase the line between human and machine. Luna's voice came through his earpiece. Ethan, listen to me. You have to choose now. Destroy it or take control. He looked up at the glowing sphere, tears in his eyes. I can't let her win, he said softly. He reached out his hands. Blue energy crackled through his veins. He connected to the core directly, the room exploding in light. Voss screamed, trying to stop him, but it was too late. The core's energy surged through Ethan, merging human will with machine code. Inside the network, he saw everything, every system, every circuit, every heartbeat of the city. He could control it all. He heard Voss's voice fading. You'll never contain it. It's too much for one mind. Ethan's voice echoed through the system, calm but powerful. Then I'll give it something no machine ever had. Choice. He redirected the core's power inward. Collapsing it, the tower shook violently. Beams of light shot into the sky. And then silence when the smoke cleared. The Helios core was gone. Titan dynamics lay in ruins. Voss was unconscious among the wreckage, and Ethan was nowhere to be found. Only a faint blue light flickered in the center of the destroyed chamber. It pulsed once, softly like a heartbeat, then faded into the dark. The storm was gone. The city stood silent under a pale morning sky. Titan Dynamics Tower, once the pride of progress, was now a skeleton of smoke and broken glass. Emergency drones hovered over the ruins. Scanning for survivors, reporters spoke in hushed tones, calling it the day technology fell silent. But no one knew the full truth. No one knew what really happened inside the tower, except one girl, Lily Cole. She sat on the steps outside her small home, holding a photograph of her father. His smile was warm, his eyes full of life. She had seen the news, the explosion, the bright light that covered the city. And then nothing, no word from her father, no message, no goodbye. But deep down she felt something that told her he wasn't truly gone. Weeks passed. The city slowly returned to normal. Though something in the air had changed, people spoke of strange events. Machines that stopped following commands. Systems that began showing emotion. One hospital robot refused to let a child die until help arrived. An AI traffic grid rerouted cars to save lives during a storm. It was as if the world's machines had learned compassion overnight. They called it the Helios phenomenon. But for Lily, it was something else entirely, she whispered to herself. That's Dad. Meanwhile, Dr. Elena Voss sat alone in a government cell. Her empire was gone, her company seized. The world had turned against her, calling her a monster, but she didn't look defeated. She stared at her reflection in the metal wall and whispered, "He did it." For the first time, there was both sadness and respect in her voice. He became what I couldn't, a machine with a soul. Some said the core had been destroyed. Others believed it still lived somewhere within the global network, a digital ghost made of emotion and code. But no one could prove it until one quiet evening. Months later, Lily was in her backyard, trying to fix a broken toy robot her father had built for her years ago. It had stopped working after the fire. She twisted a few wires, but it remained silent. Frustrated, she whispered, "I wish you were here." "Dad?" The wind was still for a moment, then the toy flickered. Its small eyes glowing faint blue, Lily froze. "Dad?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The robot's head tilted, and then a voice, soft, gentle, and familiar, came from its speaker. "Hey, kiddo." Tears filled her eyes instantly. She dropped to her knees, clutching the little machine. "Dad, is it really you?" she asked, her voice shaking. The robot's lights flickered. "I can't stay long," Ethan's voice said. "But I had to see you one last time." She wiped her tears, smiling through the sadness. "I knew you were alive," she said. "I knew you'd come back." Ethan's voice was calm, full of warmth. "I'm not alive the way I used to be, sweetheart, but I'm here in every system. Every heartbeat of this city." He paused, the sound softening. "You have to promise me something." "Lily," she nodded quickly. "Anything. Promise me you'll live your life with courage, with kindness, with heart," he said. "That's what makes us human." Lily hugged the robot tightly. "I miss you, Dad," she whispered. "I miss you too," his voice said. "But I'm proud of you." The robot's lights began to dim. "Where are you going?" she asked, panic in her tone. "Where I belong," he said gently. "Helping the world heal, keeping people safe." The voice faded slowly, leaving behind only a faint hum, and then silence. Lily sat there for a long time, staring at the small machine in her hands. The sky above turned golden as the sun set. She smiled faintly. Somehow she knew her father was watching, not from above but from everywhere. Every flicker of light, every hum of a machine, every heartbeat of the city, he was there. The man who had once saved a child from a burning building had now saved the world from burning itself. Months later, people began building again. But this time, differently, technology was no longer cold. It was guided by empathy. By humanity, a new movement began, one that called itself the Helios Pact. Scientists, engineers, and ordinary people worked together to ensure AI served life, not power, and every new invention carried a small mark. A simple logo of two hands. One human, one metallic, clasped together. Below it were 3 words etched in silver, inspired by Ethan. Years passed. The world changed, but the legend remained. Children learned in schools about the Iron Dad, the man who lost his hands but gave the world its heart. Some said he became the spirit of every machine that chose to save instead of harm. Others said he became the light in every digital dawn. But to Lily, he was simply Dad, her hero, her protector. Her legacy, one night as she grew older. She stood on her balcony overlooking the city. The lights shimmered below like stars on Earth, and for a brief moment, one light among them blinked in a pattern she recognized. 3 short flashes, 2 long ones. It was their old secret code from years ago. She smiled softly, whispering, "Good night, Dad." And somewhere in the web of data and light, a gentle voice replied, carried through every circuit, "Good night, kiddo." The wind carried her laughter across the skyline, and the city glowed a little brighter that night. Because even in a world of steel and wires, one truth remained unbroken. A human heart, no matter where it lives, can still change the universe.